What if I told you there was once an empire that ruled almost all of Southeast Asia, that built a megacity covering nearly 1,000 square kilometers, larger than modern London, and then vanished, leaving behind almost no trace? Would you believe it? Today, we dive into two of the most haunting questions in human history. Why did the mighty Angkor Empire collapse? And if Angkor Wat had never fallen into ruin, could it have stood shoulder to shoulder with the greatest wonders of mankind? The Pyramids of Egypt, or the Parthenon of Greece? This is not just a journey into an ancient temple. It is a surgical dissection of history, where politics, society, and faith are laid bare, to reveal how time itself lifted Angkor to the heights of power and then dragged it down into the abyss of oblivion. Deep in the jungles of Cambodia, hidden beneath layers of vines and moss, Angkor Wat emerges not only as a temple dedicated to the gods, but also as a political and military proclamation of the Khmer Empire. It was a place where kings transformed themselves into divine incarnations, a stage for bloody conquests, and a mirror reflecting both the pride and brutality of a civilization that once dominated. But then, as if under a curse, the Khmer Empire collapsed, leaving behind a shroud of countless hypotheses, an angry nature, shifting religions, faltering trade, or perhaps the cruelty of the kings themselves sowed the seeds of their empire's destruction. Chapter 1. The Formation of Angkor Wat. In the early 12th century, on the fertile alluvial plains of Cambodia, a figure emerged who would change the fate of Southeast Asia: King Suryavarman II. Ascending the throne in 1113, he was not only a wise ruler, but also a formidable warrior. The bas-reliefs on Angkor Wat's walls depict him leading armies, seated on his throne, with thousands of soldiers standing behind him, an image of a king who was both mortal and the embodiment of the god Vishnu. Suryavarman II did not merely want to build a temple. He sought to assert his absolute power through an eternal monument. And so, Angkor Wat was born, not as a tomb for the dead, but as the living heart of the Khmer Empire, a symbol both religious and political, a declaration in stone that this empire and its king are immortal. To understand the power of this structure, let's look at the context of that era. At its peak, the Khmer Empire stretched from the South China Sea to Myanmar. This was the height of Khmer expansion, when they controlled nearly all of Indochina. Angkor Wat was the embodiment of that ambition for supremacy. According to the Greater Angkor Project by the University of Sydney, Angkor Wat was designed as a microcosm of the Hindu universe. Its 5 central towers symbolize Mount Meru, the sacred mountain in mythology, while the moat surrounding it represents the eternal ocean. Every detail carried religious significance, but also served as political propaganda. The Khmer were not just building a temple, but crafting an image of their king as the Lord of the universe. Construction began around 1113, shortly after Suryavarman II solidified his power. According to UNESCO estimates, it took at least 30 years to complete the main temple. This meant an entire generation devoted their labor to this wonder. Millions of sandstone blocks, each weighing 1 to 1.5 tons, were quarried from Phnom Kulen, over 50 kilometers away. The Khmer built an extensive canal system to transport the stones to Angkor. This was not just an architectural feat, but a logistical marvel of the medieval era. However, Angkor Wat did not only reflect creativity. It also embodied the ambition for power and the brutality of the era. To sustain their vast empire, Khmer kings waged numerous wars of expansion. The bas-reliefs in Angkor Wat depict fierce battles where Khmer armies conquered neighboring kingdoms like Kampa and Dai Viet. For the Khmer, Angkor Wat was not only a place to worship Vishnu, but also a declaration that their military and political might surpassed all surrounding nations. Every wall, every towering structure rose not only to touch the sky, but to send a message. The Khmer Empire was the center of the universe, and its king was a divine, immortal incarnation. Looking back, we see Angkor Wat as both a magnificent religious monument and a political tool designed to maintain royal power. Here, in the heart of Cambodia's jungles, an immortal wonder was born, marking the beginning of a glorious story but also sowing the seeds for a tragedy that would unfold over centuries. Chapter 2. the brutality of the Khmer Empire. As we delve deeper into Angkor Wat's sandstone walls, we see not only the graceful dances of apsaras, but also scenes of warfare etched in stone. Armies march forward, majestic war elephants stand tall, kings command from their thrones, and behind them loom the shadows of defeated enemies. Angkor Wat was not just a place of prayer, it was a chronicle of an empire that thrived on conquest. The ancient Khmer expanded their territory through relentless wars. Kampa, Dai Viet, Siam, and even distant kingdoms in Burma all felt the might of Angkor. Each victory brought land, gold, and slaves, but also exhaustion, as the empire became increasingly dependent on endless warfare. Records from Kampa and Dai Viet describe Khmer armies as a flood sweeping across the plains, instilling fear rather than admiration. For Angkor, power came not only from immortal sandstone structures, but also from the sword and the ruthlessness of its kings. Many scholars liken the Khmer Empire at its peak to Rome in the East. Like Rome, they reached the zenith of engineering, architecture, and urban scale, but they also maintained power with an iron fist. The canals, grand temples, and bustling cities were all built on the foundation of forced labor and continuous conquests. Here lies the paradox. Greatness and brutality went hand in hand. Ambition propelled Angkor to its heights, but also gradually eroded the empire's strength. Wars brought glory to the kings, but added burdens to the people. Today, standing beneath Angkor Wat's towers, we see not only the transcendent beauty of a wonder, but also hear the whispers of history, an empire both radiant and ruthless. Chapter 3. Hypotheses on the Collapse of Angkor Wat. A temple built to be an eternal symbol of Vishnu and Khmer royal power. Yet, just a few centuries later, it became a ruin hidden deep in Cambodia's jungles. Angkor Wat not only witnessed the decline of the Khmer Empire, but was itself swept into the vortex of collapse. Hypothesis 1. Nature overpowered Angkor Wat's heart. Angkor Wat relied on an immense hydraulic system to survive. The moat surrounding it, canals leading to the center, and reservoirs sustaining the residents and priests around the temple. During prolonged droughts, the water receded, and the deep moats dried up. During floods, stone structures were submerged, and roads to the temple turned to mud. Research using LiDAR and archaeology shows that many canals around Angkor Wat were silted up, proving that the temple itself could not maintain its central role when nature turned hostile. A magnificent architectural feat, yet wholly dependent on the environment, and when the environment changed, it collapsed along with the empire. Hypothesis 2. Religious shift. Angkor Wat lost its soul. Initially, Angkor Wat was designed as the sacred home of Vishnu. But by the 14th century, Theravada Buddhism spread, completely replacing the old belief system. For the temple, this change was a shock. The place once resounding with Hindu rituals was abandoned or repurposed. Many Hindu bas-reliefs were replaced with Buddhist statues. For the people, Angkor Wat no longer held its central role in spiritual life. From a symbol of supreme power, it gradually became a forgotten temple in the jungle. Hypothesis 3. Shifting trade. Angkor Wat no longer the world's center. Angkor Wat was not just a place of worship. It was a symbol of thriving commerce. Merchants from India, China, and the Middle East once passed through to witness the temple's splendor. But as international trade routes shifted toward the sea, the flow of people and wealth bypassed Angkor. No matter how magnificent, a monument needs people to sustain it. As trade moved away, residents gradually left, and Angkor Wat was left standing, majestic but alone. Hypothesis 4. War and defeat. In 1431, Siamese forces invaded Angkor. Ancient records describe temples abandoned and priests fleeing. Whether the Siamese truly destroyed it or not, this event marked a turning point. Angkor Wat lost its status as a center of power. From then on, the temple remained, but without caretakers, daily rituals, or political significance. It was gradually swallowed by the jungle, a heart that stopped beating for the empire. Hypothesis 5. Oblivion, the most dangerous enemy. Not nature, nor enemies, but oblivion itself caused Angkor Wat's decline. As beliefs changed, trade shifted, and the political center moved south, Angkor Wat lost its reason to exist as a capital. The temple stood, but in solitude, covered by vines and moss. Even when French explorer Henri Mouhot rediscovered Angkor in 1860, he described it as a ghostly city, a magnificent wonder forgotten by the world for centuries. Conclusion. Today, many scholars agree that Angkor Wat's collapse was not due to a single factor, but a chain of overlapping impacts: nature, religion, economy, war, and ultimately, oblivion. Angkor Wat still stands, but no longer as a center of power or faith. It endures as a monument to memory, proof that even the greatest structures can be abandoned. And the final question lingers: was Angkor Wat's collapse caused not only by humans and nature, but also a punishment from the gods for an empire that reached too far in its ambition and power? Chapter 4. What if Angkor Wat never fell? Imagine an alternate scenario. If Angkor Wat had never been forgotten in the jungle, if the Khmer Empire had not declined in the 15th century, how would the world view Cambodia today? Could Phnom Penh have become the Rome of Asia? Could Angkor have rivaled, or even surpassed, the Pyramids of Egypt or the Hanging Gardens of Babylon in humanity's imagination? Angkor Wat, a wonder late to fame. The irony is that, despite being recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site in 1992 and called the world's largest religious monument by many scholars, Angkor Wat remains unknown to many outside Southeast Asia. The pyramids, or the Parthenon, are taught in textbooks across the West, but what about Angkor Wat? If Angkor had not fallen, if it had remained a political, religious, and commercial center, it might have been regarded as a universal symbol of human civilization, on par with Giza, Athens, or Rome. A different modern Cambodia? If Angkor had not collapsed, Cambodia today might not be just a small nation in Southeast Asia, but a global cultural hub. Tourism could have become a cultural oil, drawing hundreds of millions of visitors annually. Imagine, instead of Paris or Cairo, people would speak of Siem Reap as a global cultural capital. Angkor's stone towers might have become a global brand, appearing on flags, currency, and in the imagination of every culture. A question of historical fairness. This raises a poignant question. Is the world truly fair in evaluating Angkor Wat's greatness? Why are the Pyramids of Egypt, the Roman Colosseum, or the Parthenon so widely known, while a larger, more intricate, and sophisticated structure like Angkor Wat lacks comparable recognition in global memory? Is it because it belongs to Southeast Asia, a region overlooked by the West for centuries? Or because it fell too soon, allowing jungle vines to obscure its glory? Can Angkor Wat rival other wonders? The answer, according to many researchers, is yes, and perhaps even more. The Pyramids of Giza were built with limestone, while Angkor Wat used heavier, harder-to-work sandstone. The Parthenon spans a few thousand square meters, while Angkor Wat covers over 160 hectares, many times larger. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon remain a vague legend, but Angkor Wat stands real, enduring for nearly 1,000 years. If the world had known Angkor Wat earlier, it might have become the face of Eastern wonders, a vision for the future. Today, Cambodia is gradually opening up, welcoming millions of tourists to Siem Reap each year. But the question remains, will Angkor Wat ever achieve the global status of the pyramids or the Colosseum? What is certain is that the more people learn about Angkor, the more they will be astonished. Why has it taken us so long to recognize that this is one of the greatest wonders humanity has ever created? Chapter 5. The meaning and lessons of Angkor Wat. Angkor Wat is not just a temple. It is a stone reminder that humanity can achieve greatness, but also lose itself. In the bas-reliefs stretching for kilometers, we see two parallel worlds, the divine realm of gods and the human world of conquest. Vishnu, Apsaras, and mythical serpents coexist with scenes of battles, armies, and kings. This shows how the Khmer blended religion and politics into an inseparable whole. But because of this, when religion changed, the entire power structure collapsed. The first lesson from Angkor Wat is that every civilization thrives on a balance between belief and reality. When beliefs shift, or when humans impose beliefs excessively to consolidate power, that fragile balance disappears. The second lesson, more relevant today, is that nature is always stronger than humanity. Angkor boasted one of the most advanced hydraulic systems of the medieval era, yet a few decades of drought and floods paralyzed the megacity. This is not just a story from the 14th century. It is a warning for us today, as climate change challenges modern megacities. The third lesson: brutality may bring power, but it cannot sustain an empire forever. The Khmer kings built wonders through massive labor mobilization and relentless conquests. But this exhausted the people, weakened the economy, and shook their faith. Greatness comes with fragility, and Angkor is the clearest proof. Finally, Angkor Wat teaches us that what remains after all is not thrones or armies, but cultural heritage. King Suryavarman II made himself a Devaraja, a divine king, but his throne is long gone. What endures are the stone walls that tell stories, the towering spires, and the awe of millions who visit Angkor today. Standing before Angkor Wat under a fiery sunset, we are not just admiring an ancient structure. We are facing a mirror, reflecting ambition and mistakes, faith and collapse, glory and tragedy. And the final question lingers: is Angkor Wat a reminder that all empires will fall, or a warning that if we do not learn from the past, our modern civilization may repeat its fate? Thank you for joining Logicrelic on this journey to explore Angkor Wat, a wonder not only of Cambodia, but of all humanity. If you found this story compelling, please hit the like button to show your support. Leave a comment with your thoughts on the mystery of Angkor, and don't forget to subscribe to the Logicrelic channel so you won't miss our next journeys, where we unravel vanished civilizations and untold wonders together. Please share this video so more people can discover the greatness of Angkor Wat, and join us in asking, is the world fairly recognizing the wonders of the East?